Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Tuesday, May 9th, 2023. Our weekly trip over the Sagamore Bridge down Route 3. Don't forget the construction and the backup at the Sagamore Bridge. Once we get to 3, we shoot to 93, and our buddy, our pal, our colleague, our friend, Mr. Julian Edlow of DraftKings, little part of the playoffs with the Celtics and Scal and MSNBC. Big time for the big guy. The player, I'd like to say. He's got all the information. I call him the content king from DraftKings, the one and only Mr. Julian Edlow.
Good morning, Jeff. How's it going? It's
going well. How about yourself?
Not too shabby.
I guess let's just start right behind me. I think tonight I'm assuming you will be there tonight, correct?
I will be there. You can catch me on the NBC Sports Boston pregame show right before tip. Talking a little bit of DraftKings Sportsbook.
Well, I couldn't be happier for you. Shout out to Marty Lowe, Billy Hewlin, Connor McLaren. Wow. A lot of people here that want to know, Julian, what the hell is going on with the Celtics? Because when I look at the sports books, when I go to DraftKings and I look at the futures, it's like I'm looking at the 85 Celtics. The prices are so stupid. They are. I don't even know why they're playing the games. These guys are not just a lock to win the Eastern Conference. They're a lock to win the whole thing. And again, stuck in stupid. I say stuck in stupid. Win one, lose one. Win one, lose one. We all know they are hands down a much better team. No disrespect to the Sixers, but what the hell's going on?
I don't think anything's going on. I think this is the team they've been for a while, going back to last season and for all of this season. So desperation spot for Philly. They couldn't go down 3-1. They came out and played that way in the first half, and the Celtics got it together in the second half, had a lot of opportunities to win, and they've generally been dropping close games. Now they have the ability to win these games by 30, and that's generally how they win them when they win. When it's close, that's a little bit more of a giveaway that it might not go their way, which is not a good attribute to have, but they still seem to find their way through. They have the ability to drop games they shouldn't drop and still win these series. So had they gotten it done in overtime or at the buzzer and been up 3-1, I would probably have been looking at taking the points with Philly in this game, because that's just who this team is. They wouldn't be able to close out at home in a 3-1 spot or have trouble doing so. But coming off the loss now at 2-2 with another 40-point game from Harden, I would be very surprised if the Celtics didn't bounce back. I think they're in a good spot to build up a lead in the first half. I think there's some games on the board in the NBA that I feel pretty strongly about. These home game 5 favorites. So I think money line parlays are probably in order here for some of them. But in general, if you're betting the Celtics and you don't want to deal with other legs, you're laying the points, because when they win going away. So I think there's a lot of ways you can look at the Celtics in this game. And I would be pretty surprised if they lost to go down 3-2 in this series. That said, everybody's treating this as a must win. It's not a must win. The only must wins for the Celtics are when their backs are completely against the wall and they're eliminated with a loss. I could see them losing this game and coming back to to win in a blowout in Game 6 in Philly, honestly, and setting up that Sunday afternoon Game 7. So we'll see how it goes. I tend to think that they are going to win this game, which I said about Game 5 against Atlanta. But that was a closeout game. That wasn't coming off a loss in a tied series. I think that there will be a little bit more urgency on the side of the Celtics here. So it's a little bit different of a situation. I would be surprised if the Celtics lost it. But this is, to answer your question, this is the team they've been. You know, I knew that they weren't going to call timeout on that last play because that's not what they do. If you watch, you know what they do. I was more confused on the defensive side of the ball. Why you have Tatum on Embiid for the first time. They thought they were going to get a switch, but once Tatum was on Embiid, they just didn't. Philly did the smart thing and didn't give Boston a situation where they could switch. And then Jaylen Brown doubling off of Harden, who was knocking down all his shots. No reason to do that. Double from anywhere else if you want to come down and help Tatum with Embiid. Which, I mean, Al Horford should have just been on him. Al Horford was tremendous on Embiid the whole second half. So I have a lot of questions defensively. Offensively, they'll get it together, but that's who they've been all year and last year.
You know, it's been the year for Philly, whether it's the MLS team, whether it's the Eagles in football, whether it's the Phillies in baseball. Just sometimes these cities have a magical year or a year and a half or whatever. And again, I fully expect, like you and most of the Green Nation here, the Celtics are going to win this series. Is it going to be in 6 or is it going to be in 7? You know, they bring Missoula in and they came out guns blazing and they didn't offer him, you know, the intern, whatever the tag was. They didn't give him an extension, I guess is the correct, until late. Everyone talks about Doc. Listen, I've always been a Doc fan, and I know his resume in the playoffs is not good. I'm just going to play devil's advocate here, Jules. If the Sixers were to beat the Celtics, what's the locals? What's Green Nation? What is everyone going to say?
That it's a bust of a season. You see the numbers, how heavily they're favored, where they got to last year. So something will change after the season. I think they'll give Missoula another crack to learn, to grow. It's obviously been too many learning experiences with this team, both from the coaching staff and the players. It's time to start producing in those situations, but there will be a shakeup. The team's going to be built around Tatum, but whether that means Jaylen Brown asking out, shifting around a piece like Marcus Smart, whatever it may be, there would be some type of changes if they were to not make it past the second round, I think.
I mean, someone potentially could be sitting and waiting. Our arch nemesis, Mr. Jimmy Buckets, who have looked phenomenal against the Knicks. He's just another. He takes it to another level come playoffs. I love the guy to death. A Knicks team that opened up -165 to win that series tonight. Knicks opened at 3.5, now 4 at 209. It's Mother's Day was weekend. Sunday is Mother's Day. And you know how the NBA works. There's always at least 1 or 2 marquee games on Sunday. You got the Knicks down 3-1. You have the Celtics and the Nuggets and Suns 2-2. And now the Warriors down 3-1. If I asked you, you have the crystal ball. Are we seeing any NBA on Mother's Day Sunday?
Oh, all right. Well, I need to look at I mean, I know the Celtics would host Game 7 if it got there. I think they have a better chance of closing this out in 6 than 7, to be honest. Now, obviously, that means winning tonight, but they're just a better team on the road. This isn't the 08 Celtics that win all those games at home. They play better on the road. So I would lean to the Celtics in 6. The way that I like Denver a lot at home tonight. It's a good bounce back spot for them. The way that Booker and Grant are shooting, it feels like the home team should hold serve there. I could see a game there. Let's see. Lakers, the Warriors are going to win game 5 at home. I'm convinced of that. That's when I was talking about money line parlays. I think Boston, Denver, Golden State, pick 2 of those or go round robin, whatever. I like those 3 teams a lot in their game 5s at home, particularly Golden State in the desperation spot. But then that would be what, Wednesday night? That'll be a Friday night, I would assume. I got to look at the schedule there, but that one I would think ends potentially Saturday night. Yeah, that would be a Friday night game and then Sunday. So that would be great to get it to a game 7. I hope it does, but I'm assuming the Lakers are going to have a home closeout spot on Friday night, and that's going to be pretty tough. Heat Knicks is over. I'm going to let the Knicks get steamed as much as they can. Game 5 at home, desperate spot, and then take however many points that winds up being with Miami. Miami has dominated this entire series. And the only game the Knicks won was the desperate spot, home game 2 at home, coming off the game 1 loss, which in the NBA, the home team has won game 2 16 times in a row after losing game 1 at home. And there was no Jimmy Butler. And Miami was leading a lot of that game and almost won, and it came undone late. Miami's been dominant. They own the Knicks. I think it's in their heads at this point. And yeah, if we get to an Eastern Conference final of Boston-Miami, a rematch again, Boston's going to be the heavy favorite projected on how they should play. If the Celtics play the way that they are playing right now and the Heat play the way that they are playing right now, Miami's going to win that series. So Boston's going to have to change something going into that matchup, which is scary because they're going to be severely outcoached. So they're going to have to figure that out. But yeah, that's my lay of the land for the NBA. I think the best shots at game 7 is a Phoenix-Denver series out of all of them, I would say.
Impressed with the Lakers. They come in, they steal game 1. We were expecting the zigzag theory last night. And I'm drawing a blank on his name that had the game of his life for the Lakers in the fourth quarter. No AD down the stretch. Meaning, again, like the Celtics not feeding Jaylen Brown, they went to some other players there. Warriors just couldn't hit a key shot late. Steph, that 30-footer, I know it's Steph, and I know he makes it, but that was questionable. Clay couldn't make a couple late. Down 3-1, like you fully expect them right now. 5.5. It opened already up to 6.5. And it's 7 on Bet Online and 6.5 at DraftKings right now with the 226.5. Expect them to go back for a game 6, and they've proven they can win on the road. They did it in Sacramento. I could see, believe it or not,
have they proven that?
Well, when their back was against the wall. The funny thing is they steal one in Sacramento, then they lose the closeout game at home, but then they come back and close out. So they're almost like now they're back.
The Kings also puked all over themselves in game 7. The second half of game 7 for the Kings was as much of a giveaway as you can have.
100%. But my point is here, they're going to go and steal game 5. Not steal. They're going to probably make a statement on game 5. And then, game 6 is that all the pressure's on the Lakers there. It's not on Golden State. It's on the Lakers. But my point is here, Julian, I think the Golden State could steal that game and then come back, and the Lakers still can win game 7 in Golden State.
Yeah, that's why these unique situations, like everybody is saying these series are over 3-1 Heat, 3-1 Lakers, the lower seeds, but they're going on the road for these game fives where it's like, well, if you don't win that game as an underdog, which the market is saying you aren't, then you do, that game six is your game seven almost at home to close it out. Because if you don't do it with the pressure on you in that game, then you're in the game seven where you don't want to be. So the 3-1 leads when you're going on the road are a little misleading, I feel like, because of how quickly the narrative can turn. All that has to happen is the favorite win that home game five, and then the pressure's back on you. So if there's a team that can do it, it's definitely the Warriors over the Knicks, 100%. But this team, for some reason, can't win on the road. Game 3 was a classic Lakers bounce back spot. I bet the Lakers. Game 4 would have generally been a classic Warriors spot, and I know a lot of people bet them. I wound up betting them third quarter in game, which worked out. They made a third quarter run. But I can't trust them for games on the road. I don't know why this year's team, I don't know what's much different about it than any of the other ones other than they're older. But I don't know why this year's team can't get it together on the road. So I couldn't trust them there. This will probably be Warriors game 5 and then a Lakers play game 6 for me, because I get that Golden State could push it, but I don't know how many road games they need to lose before we just say this team doesn't have it on the road.
Denver, LA. Denver with the home court advantage. Let me see if I had to think of a number in my head, being LA, LeBron, Denver home court, and where LA was plus 130 against Golden State. Maybe a Denver minus 180, Lakers plus 150. Does that sound right? Too steep?
It's really tough to figure out where the market is on these teams in the West that are, all these seeds don't even matter this year, it feels like. Now Denver is 36-4 at home with Jokic in the lineup this year. So I think you have to favor them. That might be a little this might be similar price to the Warriors, honestly. It might be 150 Denver. Okay. But yeah, Denver's favorite feels right, and you know that the books are going to get slammed with Lakers money at the plus price.
Sure, absolutely. And we'll play the game here. Celtics Heat. Celtics home court. Jimmy Butler revenge. Seeing how the Celtics have been priced and where they are already now, I would have to say probably I'll go Celtics minus 240, Heat plus 200.
I'll go Celtics minus 320.
Okay. All right.
Let's remember the Celtics opened 330 over Philly.
Okay.
You're right. I think they're going to be big if we get there. I think they're going to be big favorites. And I have a big future on the Celtics to win the East. And I am absolutely going to take Miami to get all that, my full investment back. And have a risk-free Celtics to win the East bet, because, again, I hope something changes. But the way these teams are playing right now, Miami would win the series. So they're going to need to figure something out.
Tonight, since obviously we only have you on Tuesdays here, I'm just going to run down the numbers right now. I know you talked about some potential money line parlays. I'm going to use DraftKings right now. Celtics 7.5 with a 213.5. Denver 5.5 with a 228 tomorrow. Knicks 4 with a 209.5, and Golden State 6.5 with a 226.5. All the people watching and listening, any inkling on where you might be able to steer them?
So I'm gonna go with a Celtics Nuggets money line parlay. I'm gonna go with a Celtics Warriors money line parlay as my favorite bet. It just so happens that and the Celtics and Warriors should both cover. They're teams that win with margin when they win these home games. Like if you want to just lay the points, lay the points. But I'm in a spot where I like the board right now for money line parlays for a few of these teams. So the home teams in Game 5, with the exception of the Knicks, I'm going to let people keep backing the Knicks up until tip, see where this number goes. And I really think Miami's the side. This could be back and forth all game. The Knicks will wilt in the fourth quarter. Jimmy Butler will take over. Miami's better coached. They make better decisions. They play within each other more as a team rather than letting Randall put his head down and go one-on-one, foul out. I just think the Heat are playing so much better than the Knicks right now. And the Knicks are going to feel I know it's a bounce back. The Knicks are going to feel more pressure to win this Game 5 than I want to say I want to say the other teams. The other teams have pressure on them. They know they need to win, but like I trust them at home to win these games. The Knicks, I don't. So all the home teams except for the Knicks, I'll be going plus points with Miami and probably some money line too.
I have to ask you this before we switch over to another sport. The Bucks fired their coach. Kind of surprised, kind of not. They waited a week, obviously, during the series. Mike lost his brother, in an automobile accident. 5 years, he's like almost at a 70% win clip, only one championship. Nick Nurse was fired from Toronto. They talk about Tyronn Lue. I don't like to say his name, but I'll say it. Mike Felger, who is a Bucks fan, who's a Packer fan, brought this up. He was trying to find 3 guys. And I'm going to say this to you, and I said it with Anthony. I talked about it on Sports Map Radio Friday when I was co-hosting. Brad Stevens. Now, before you just say there's absolutely no way in holy hell he would leave, my point is this. He was linked to the Pacers. He's a Midwest guy. He has Giannis. He has made it clear, very clear, that he wants to coach again. Now, when he was pushed upstairs, it was because he just got an extension. Wick says, you're not coaching for anyone else. I'm paying you, and you're going to go upstairs. So is it so far-fetched that the Bucks could make a phone call and maybe make an offer to a Brad Stevens?
An offer is not far-fetched. I would be pretty surprised if he left. But it's a good job coaching Giannis. I think Stevens would, in theory, prefer it, if he was going to leave for a coaching job, prefer an Indiana to a Milwaukee. Now, you compare the rosters, not as much. I'm talking about just pure destination and brand name. It's a good gig. Giannis is a good player to coach, I think. I think he's a coachable player, a superstar that teammates and coaches like. It's a great name because I don't love the coaching market right now. Like, I don't love who's out there. So, it makes Stevens more valuable to Milwaukee and worth a higher dollar offer. I guess it really depends how much Stevens wants to coach. I think he enjoys the gig that he has. It's much less of a day-to-day grind. With where his family is at, people don't think of those things. I know his son is high school. I think, a lot of times people will say, hey, I'm going to let my kids finish up high school here and go to college. Then maybe I'll put my name in the ring for a coaching job. Real life situations like the rest of us would go through. I would be surprised, but it's a great name to consider. And if I'm Milwaukee, I definitely make a strong offer. Not that it will get accepted, but sure.
Thank you for not poo-pooing that, because I sent it out to a couple people and they looked at me like I was, deer in a headlight. I'm like, you're not really going through the whole process. In other words, they waited a week, maybe because they didn't want to look like total what's because of the passing of his brother. They also maybe waited a week to make a few phone calls, because they didn't fire him for Nick Nurse, in my opinion, or Tyronn Lue, or whatever the market is out there. Like you said, there's not a lot of big names out there. You want to woo the Bucks and your fan base. You bring in a Brad Stevens and you make it appetizing to him. The Brook Lopez, I think, unrestricted free agent. Middleton maybe restricted, but that guy can never get on the court. And then Holiday. And so you come in, you tear this thing up, you bring him in, you give him that big contract, and then you work on the extension for Giannis, who can leave in 2 years. I think it makes too much sense in my eyes, Julian.
Yeah, I put it this way. I think whoever lands the Milwaukee job is going to be a big name that's off the radar. If it's not Brad Stevens, it'll be something like Brad Stevens, where somebody comes in that we weren't expecting, that takes a lot of money to coach Giannis and try and build it a new way. And that doesn't mean getting rid of Holiday, Middleton, just a new system, a new philosophy, and of course some new pieces in there. But it doesn't mean you have to rebuild the whole core, because we've seen that the core is capable of winning. The coaching was just very poor, which I do agree with. So I'm very curious to see who winds up landing that job.
Bruins out. They've been golfing now for a while. It's since Bruins up 3-1. The Panthers haven't lost, which is just an absolute amazing run. Bob got hot. What it takes is a hot goalie. And now this Panthers team, who was the President's Cup last year and got ousted in the first round, is up 3-0 to Toronto, who became the favorite and one game away from making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. The games are going on out west. Patriots in the draft, we talked about that. Red Sox, winners of 8 of 9. I'm going to give you the stage for a quick second before we wrap up here. What are you looking at now? As in, maybe the NFL schedule comes out on Thursday. So I assume there'll be a lot of stuff added on DraftKings there. The colleges, the futures. I know we got a lot of time leading up to that. But what do you focus on in the next couple months, Julian?
Well, this is a unique year for me, as I've told you, Jeff, because I did have a daughter in October, and we're very fortunate to have great parental leave here in Massachusetts, as well as even more generous over at DraftKings. So I'll preface this by saying this summer will be a little bit different for me. Once the NBA draft wraps, I have 7 weeks. I'm taking them. I'm enjoying my summer. I'm going to try and break triple digits on the golf course, where I absolutely stink. Have some family time. However, when my kids are at preschool in daycare and my wife is at work, I'm not going to spend every day golfing and doing the lawn. I'm going to glance at the football futures. I'm taking it off from baseball. I'll sprinkle some baseball here and there. But I've already started some on the NFL futures board, and the college football futures board, which I like even more, is out even earlier this year. We just put the win totals out on DraftKings. I tweeted one out. I'm expecting a big year for LSU, and I think we're getting a good price on them because they're in the same division as Alabama, and I'm an Alabama lover. I don't think they're going to be that good this year. They weren't very good last year, and they won because Bryce Young could really put that team on his back in some games. But that was the worst receivers they had. They made a lot of mistakes, penalties. I don't know if I'm strong enough to take an Alabama under 10.5. But I think LSU is going to be the better team in that side of the SEC. I don't know if they're going to be better than Georgia, but I like LSU. They're plus money for over 9.5 wins. When the conference prices come out, they're going to be good plus money to win the SEC. I think they're plus 7 or 8 in the game at Alabama. They're a pick 'em in week 1, that Labor Day weekend, Sunday night game rematch with FSU, who beat them in the same spot last year. I think there's a lot of spots that I like backing LSU early. That's going to be my team on the college football board this coming year. So I know that now, but once NBA starts to wind down, I'll dive into that a little bit more. So it'll be all football futures for me once we get past NBA.
Russell asked a question, and I'll be interested with your answer. Russ, I do know that number that you're talking about was 6.5 before the portal and the 70 people, 70 players flocked. There were some 5.5s out there. We're talking about the Colorado under/over now, and I think opening day, Russell, they play TCU, and I saw a number of like 26.5. TCU is favored over Colorado, or 24.5. So Russell's
that
asking.
One was in the teens.
It was at one point. Yes. Russell's asking you if Colorado going to be terrible? If it gets to 2.5, is the over in play?
That TCU number is now 21.5. Okay. I would have liked to get it below 21. So I can't play an over on Colorado. I think there's a very realistic outcome that they could win 2 games. All this hype is ridiculous just because Deion Sanders is there. Sure, they'll bring in some talent. Still one of the worst rosters in the Pac-12. I missed the boat on the early win total under. But
what do you have it at now? Do you know?
So there's a lot of strong juiced under 3.5s. DraftKings just has it at 3 flat minus 110 each way.
So there you go, Russ.
So if you gave me a free play and said you got to play the Colorado win total, I'm going under 3.
Under 3.
And I think that you either push or win on 2. I don't think they're getting to 4. So that's my opinion. That's my opinion there. I think there's a strong chance you push on the 3. So I don't know if you want to lock up money till Thanksgiving and push, but it's an under or pass for me.
You always say ask you, and maybe you can get it up there. I've been seeing some TikToks, and the LSU women's basketball team landed the Louisville girl, and then they just grabbed the number 1 girl in the portal, which was averaging 25 against DePaul. So I'm going to have you ask your people if we can get a LSU football team to the Final Four and an LSU football team to win it all, with the LSU women's basketball team to win it all.
Well, I'll tell you this. The women's futures are up.
Okay.
LSU's the plus 400 favorite. UConn's 500. So even if the Final Four to make the college football playoff is not up, but I'm just going to see right now if DraftKings Sportsbook is letting you parlay these things. I do have some LSU at 24-1 to win it all football.
Okay.
And I have them at some plus 600 to win the SEC. I'm backing them every which way. Parlay available. LSU ladies to cut down the nets. LSU football national champs. 84-1.
Listen, guys, sprinkle a little something there. The
84-1.
The women's team is going to be a wagon. Now, UConn, I'll just say this. Obviously, the last 2 years, Paige hasn't stayed healthy. They'll be good. Where was South Carolina in all that? Are they the 3rd favorite?
Let me go back to them. I think Iowa was, which is Caitlin Clark back?
Caitlin is back, yes.
She is back? Okay. Yeah, 900. Utah, don't know anything about them. 950. South Carolina, 11-1 is 5th.
Wow.
But they lost a lot to the WNBA draft, right? Number 1 pick, another top 10 pick.
Yes.
So does LSU bring back Angel Reese?
The way I understand it,
she's back. I didn't see her go to the draft. I think she's back.
Yeah,
right?
she's back. They added the girl from Louisville, and now they just added the girl from DePaul. They're basically, the way I understood, was bringing most of the team back, and they've added the two best people that they could get in the transfer portal.
All right. So, I mean,
and you guys are on top of this stuff. I mean, it's crazy.
If you're telling me that, I mean, I know UConn's kind of scary because they should bounce back from a down year without their best player, but 4-1 doesn't seem too bad on LSU.
No, it's only going to go down because they're I'm not going to say they're going to go undefeated, but they're pretty close to go undefeated. They're a wagon this year.
All right. I might look at some LSU 4-1 ladies.
Scroll has been going the whole time, Jules, at Julian Edlow, at DraftKings, at DK Sportsbook, at DK Live. Go check out his podcast at Unreasonable Odds Podcast. Any promos, anything for the people listening that we might be able to jump on, if not today, later on this week or this weekend?
Let's see. Pulling them up now. I should always be quicker on these. The NBA same game parlay, no sweat, is up. So if you want to, throw a dart at one of those, you get a bonus bet back if it loses. MLB same game parlay is going to have 100% profit boost if you want to run one of those. And that looks like it for the most part right now. If you like DraftKings gear, 20% off right now in the shop.
All right.
Also got that going on.
So when do you officially go on vacay?
Let's see here. When is the NBA draft? I think the NBA draft is Thursday, June 22nd. So Friday, June 23rd to August 14th.
Wow. Well, if you're not going to be on here because you're off, I get that part. I want you to enjoy your summer. But if you cross that damn bridge and you don't reach out to me, I'm going to find you. So.
I will let you know if I cross the bridge. I need you to let me know when the traffic is going to stop.
Well, your best bet is just to shoot across, loop around and use the Bourne the whole time you want to come over here.
There's some good food spots, some good beer spots right over there in Sandwich that I like going to that I haven't been going to recently because it just takes too long.
Well, why don't you just do the Bourne and I'll meet you at New Seabury at the Raw Bar?
Fair enough.
The one and only Julian Edlow. Go follow him at Julian Edlow. Find all his work on DraftKings at DK Sportsbook. Always a pleasure. We will catch up with you next week. Enjoy the Celtics. Tell Scal I said hello, will you?
All right, will do. Thanks, Jeff.
Take care, Julian. The one and only Julian Edlow. And Russ, yes, unfortunately, it's funny you say, I can't bet sports on DK here in Oregon. And what they ended up doing in Mass, very simply, is we're allowed to bet college, just no Massachusetts teams, which it really doesn't matter. You miss out on BC and some, good hockey with BU, Northeastern, and all that stuff there. But again, shop around. I will do my best in the summer. Since Julian will be off, we'll try to bring someone in from another spot as always, so we can talk shop there. Shout out to Connor, Russell, Marty, Billy Hewlin. Happy birthday, Billy. God bless you. Give Rebecca a big hug for me. Everyone here. The rest of the day, unsure if we will be going to LA in the afternoon with Pop DiBiase. If we don't, at 1:30, we will have him on tomorrow. At that time, around 4:30, 5 o'clock, Riley and myself will do the closing bell tonight. And around 6:30, 6:45, myself and Scott will be back talking some MLB. So everyone, thank you. Have an amazing morning. Big show today. So can't thank you guys enough. Connor, have a great day, brother. And we will see you soon.